Hello, this is Marcus Mathers, and you may know me from H2O. And here's a fun fact, my dad sucks. And you're listening to Uncorked with Kit.
Hey, and welcome to the 13th edition of Uncorked with Kit. Today is Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. And my guest today is, and I would never say this to his face, because that's not what kind of a fucking person I am. Respect immensely. And somebody who's not just an acquaintance anymore, but somebody that I certainly consider one of my good friends in this wrestling business that we're in. I've spent a lot of times in locker rooms with him and hotel rooms with him talking about wrestling or everything but wrestling. He's not just a name anymore, but establishing himself more as a brand. He's incredibly well-rounded, and most likely he'll outlast all of us, and I hope he does. So please enjoy my conversation with EFFY.
We're in the zone.
EFFY, how you doing?
Bro, I'm chilling at my house. I'm great. I actually had a really good positive day. I got vaccinated, as you can see here.
Holy shit.
Bro, it was so lit.
Did you just have to get one, or do you have to get another one in like 3 weeks?
I got to go get another one in 3 weeks. So unfortunately, my next shot doesn't come until after Tampa, Florida, which is a bummer.
It's like the worst thing that could happen.
But, you know, for me, it's like, what a fitting end to coronavirus. My final hoorah in Tampa, Florida. It ruined everything last year. Boom. It's my last moment before I'm a free bird. Flying again. You know the vibes.
Dude, no rules. You just everything. You're brushing off corona like it's nothing.
Yeah, fuck that corona. Listen, I never got coronavirus, Kid Osborne. I never did.
Well, you're lucky. I did. And I had to quarantine for 10 days. And dude, if there's anything worse, then at least I think you could understand. We never like being home, but imagine being in a fucking room, just looking out the window. I like can only compare it to like the movie Jack, when
Oh my God.
when he wasn't allowed to leave and he's like waving at his friends through
That's
the window.
really dark. Yeah, that sounds rough. Did you have to have your groceries delivered?
I ordered a lot of I ate like shit. Didn't work
Okay,
out.
but that's fair.
It was terrible.
You could only do like push-ups though. Like you can't.
Yeah, but
you
you
know what I
can't
mean?
really do that either. Like first of all,
Yeah, you're
sick.
respiratory.
It's not like you're in timeout. Like,
Oh my
you're on house
God.
arrest.
Listen, you have to be careful though, because I don't know. I see those people at the grocery store that have to do the grocery delivery, and
Yeah,
I don't know if I can contribute to that. Even if it gets really bad, I have to quarantine or something. Like I can't make you do that. I don't like going around the grocery store as it is, and now I got to freaking send somebody else to do that for me. I don't know, man. That seems low.
I'm not one to like have somebody else do it to get my produce. Like I want to look at it, and I never know what the fuck I want anytime I go to the grocery store. I'm one of those people that go every day when I just decide what I feel like making.
I can't do that, but I do go on Snack Adventure, where basically I buy a lot of snacks, and then I buy these really healthy meal items. So I get home and I eat all the snacks that are fun, and then the next few days I keep opening the fridge going, fuck, I got to eat tilapia. I got to eat fucking broccoli. I got to eat all these weird health foods. And I already ate all my lemon Oreos after a freaking day, man. It sucks.
I'll tell you this, what was so good about the quarantine I went through was I only ate once a day, like at, a reasonable hour. And it was enough that like, I mean, I didn't gain like this ridiculous weight. Like I just wasn't eating. I don't have a sweet tooth, and I wasn't like eating massive amounts of shit like every day, but just eating once was it was something I could tolerate without actually doing anything active and just watching abandoned places on YouTube all day.
I think I understood burrowing creatures much better, because, when I'm on a real life schedule, I've got to eat a meal because I can't eat a meal for another 6 hours. I got to eat a meal. But when you're just sort of stuck in a place, you kind of eat when you need to, and you forage and you hold your goods, and you just kind of sit back And you find out, listen, you eat when you're hungry, and when you're not hungry, you sit on that chill ass couch, maybe do some sit ups, I don't know. But you get to sort of live in your little nest. And if you're good at keeping a clean nest, it's going to be very enjoyable to have a nest life. And I have found that the nest life for me has created much more streamlined ability of how I do things, which is I kind of just float through it, you know?
Yeah, I hear it, dude. I mean, when like when I'm in my place and it's like a mess, I don't get anything done. I just think about how I really need to clean this, and then I just end up going to bed. You know?
Yeah.
I
I've
end up
had some
out shit.
necessary messes though, and that's like part of my life. And I keep having
That's
to explain
different.
to my boyfriend, like, we just did all these wrestling as gay shirts, and we're about to do the next drop. And literally, that stock when it shows up, like, I don't have a huge apartment, it takes up my whole freaking apartment. It is crazy. And so it's just like, if I don't ship stuff out super fast, I'm just clumped in my house and I will go nuts. I'll go nuts if I have too much shit in my house. I'm a throwaway guy. I want to throw everything away. Don't give me gifts. Don't give me anything. Don't give me furniture. It's all going in the trash.
Dude, I remember like all of these clothes that I have. Like I had this little cubby thing, cubic, whatever, that I got off of like IKEA. Like, first of all, like if I would have known how difficult like it is for me to build something, I would have bought three so I could smash two of them. But
Just so you
when
could,
I
yeah, get it out of your system, you know?
yeah, and but once I put everything in there, I felt so organized, and I was like, dude, everything's great. I have more room for shit. but but
You
real
gotta
quick,
have it.
I wanted so the name of the show, Uncorked with Kit. I buy a bottle of wine that I feel fits the person I'm interviewing. I
Oh my
went,
God.
oh yeah, dude, I have a whole little concept. Um, so the one I got yesterday was the first. Actually, I don't think I've ever bought a Malbec before. It's from Argentina,
Oh, I know
but
about the Malbecs.
but this
Oh,
one I was like, that's effy. All right, to me. It's called Tall Dark Stranger.
oh my God. Am I a tall, dark stranger? Lit.
So we're gonna try
Lit.
this one out. I'll try to get through the whole bottle before we're done within an hour,
Yeah, here's
and
the
then we'll just
thing.
see
Here's
how
the thing.
progressively shitty of a person I get, like I do normally in real life.
No, it's good. And this could turn into an adventure. If I get a notification, we're going on a road trip and we're keeping it live because we're going to have to go pick up my drunk boyfriend. But
That's
we're going to
fine.
keep the interview lit. I've got the AirPods. I'm ready to go. I smoked way too much weed.
I was wondering why you're Jack Nicholson it up over there.
Bro, I'm so stoned right now. It happens. I was streaming earlier, and like, this isn't a brag, but it's gonna sound like a brag. There were
It's a
like
brag.
6,000 people in the place, and it can be a little
Well,
like, you don't want to miss anybody, so it can be a little emotionally exhausting to like catch everybody's comments and chats and everything. And boy, I finished that stream, and I'm like, I go into the bong NATO. You know what I mean?
what was this? What was this stream? I saw that you had something earlier today. What was it?
So typically, I started this Wednesday show that was supposed to be like an IWTV show.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to move forward with that. So I said, well, what am I going to highlight? Let's highlight weird ass wrestling. Because, Monday Night Raw, I try to usually highlight pretty, as good of wrestling as I can, modern wrestling, people in our scene. It's a bring up show, it's a positive show. And so Monday nights are set for that. But like Wednesdays, it's sort of like, okay, is this shitty backyard wrestling? Yep, we're going to watch it. We're going to watch the worst scaffold matches. We're going to watch 240p sumo wrestling. We're going to watch clown matches. We watched robots fighting today,
Oh,
and they put it on the front page. So, like, all these people who have no idea anything about wrestling other than, like, Stone Cold and Hulk Hogan
yeah.
are seeing us wrestling. And, I mean, you know what the number one comment is, which is, are you gay? And I have real fun playing those cards up. I'm like,
Good.
you got to give me 100 bits right now. You got to put money on the table, or I'm going to ban you just for even asking.
Dude, I
We're
don't
all
know
gay.
what I'm doing with this show. I'm doing completely wrong. Like, I need to subscribe to your newsletter because, I've just started doing this, but I need to
No,
start
this
doing
is
this. These
good.
watch-alongs and shit.
I want you to kind of sniff the wine, though. Will you sniff the
Oh,
wine?
you want me to sniff it? I
Yeah, I
have
want to
to.
get a
Let
scent
me see me
profile.
not appreciate it, like, but act like I do. Like,
Yeah, I see Brendan's here. I see
oh
Kitchen
man,
Warriors here. I got some people vibed up in the live chat. This is
oh man,
low
dude.
key
Let me
tonight,
just put this
baby.
here.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it's so rich and like just deeply satisfying.
I think you're gonna get a little peppery on the back end if I
Dark,
know my Malbecs.
very dark, juicy,
Yeah.
smooth,
You're gonna get
silky.
cherry
I'm not
rind.
reading the bottle.
Not a juicy cherry, a rind. You're gonna appreciate the rind.
I am digging a Melback. I'm kind of getting sick of Cabernets, which is what I
Yeah.
usually end up getting.
Listen, a Cabernet ends up being a heavy evening most of the time. A Malbec is a heavy wine, but it makes you feel like sort of like an Argentinian warrior, just out on the plains, looking over the cliffs, like seeing where the
Oh
quarries are
yeah,
gonna go.
like there's just a better background than this like 1970s wood panel,
See, look,
and this fake
I've got the
whatever the
benefit
fuck.
of technology.
Oh my
We
god,
can
I
go
need to.
green
You're
right
ahead of
now.
me by so much with a green
They
screen in your
can put us on
background.
something. Look at that. Now we're real pro. I look ready.
Oh my god.
I just
Ah,
bought an N64 thing, so I'm gonna play N64 soon too. That's my new vibe. I have no
that's
mercy, bro.
awesome.
Like I'm going in.
I have a lot of questions for you when we're
Oh
done
my
with this.
God, people were really sending in questions, weren't they?
Um, I got questions for you, man. I'm
Oh, I
trying.
love that.
Um, so I have some fan questions I want to start with before I get into some of the stuff, man. That like really, these are questions that I wanted to know.
Yeah,
This is what's so good about this show is like we hang out every time we're in the same town.
yeah, yeah.
And at that point it's never about we're never actually just talking and get to know one another. We're usually just like, hey, where's
It
so
feels
and so, where's
we
that, where's Schlack at, and then you're
yeah, we
just
have
like,
to
and
do
that
all
was the
that. We
whole
have to
night.
manage. We have to manage all these wild humans.
Yeah, like, hey, where are we all gonna meet? Oh yeah, let's go in that back kitchen area behind Voltage Lounge. And you're like, oh yeah, and everybody meets there, and then
Somebody's
we're
in
there
an
till 8 in
alley.
the morning.
There's always 8 people in an alleyway for no reason, seemingly.
Yeah. Oh man. So those are just some of the good questions from the fans I
Oh,
like.
I
Other
love
ones
that.
are
Well,
dumb.
hopefully I answer well.
Oh yeah, you'll be all right. So this is the first one. This is the most important question of the night. What other body parts do you enjoy being drained besides your elbow?
Oh my God. Uh, my elbow was drained at Fight Forever in a trash can by Dr. Schlack. He drained it with a real life doctor's needle. And honestly, he's not in it for the profit, so I kind of trust him over a doctor. He really drained it. I mean, I had people back there, and I hope you weren't one of them, Kid Osborne, that were saying to me, just let it pop during your match with Homicide. That's what they were saying to me. It was like sound advice. And I was like, it's hanging off the size of a baseball. It is disgusting. I haven't had to have my knees drained before, but I did go on a jog today where I could feel my liquid in my knee shaking the whole time.
Ugh.
So it was just like 5 miles of jiggle knee, and it was not good. I think draining is a thing that we used in the past that we should use more. Like, I wish I could get my blood drained and filtered once a year. I used to donate plasma, and I would do it twice a week, and they pull your blood out, they spin the plasma out, and they put it back in with saline solution. And what they pull out of your blood, you can see it in this little filter. It's fucking horrific,
That's
and it
pretty.
pulls out all the fats and salts and grossness that's in your blood. And I think that was healthy for me to have my blood filtered every once in a while. I think it was good for my liver to donate the plasma. And, thank God they put it on an ATM card and I could just go get schlitz hammered after, which wasn't great, but it was a cycle,
Like
it's
one
a
beer, you're
cycle.
done.
Oh, yeah. There was a triangle where I lived, though, and you could donate the plasma, drain your plasma, get your pay, go to the liquor store, and go to Sonic, and it was all within about 30 feet.
Man, I mean, it sounds like a great area. I, I think, I mean, when they do say, like, if you get your blood drained, like, it is good for you, because it just rebuilds blood cells anyway. So, well, now I would like to tell me more how you went to donate plasma. Like, where did you hear about it? who call you onto it? And then
I think
what do you know about it?
Well, I know a lot about it. I'm still pretty certain there's like a large demographic of rich German people who just drink it. Like they say it's for research and they're like really into like, oh, it's for research and or burn patients or like whatever. But like I also think there's a pretty good private market to get this shit and drink it for, power or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what they use it for. But I would go twice a week because you got paid more the second time you went. It was a bonus because you're a little tired and you drained your blood. If you drain it again, they'll give you a little bonus. And I learned about it from probably frat boys. And my dad wouldn't pay for my booze in college. He was like, "I'll pay for your education," which that ended because I flunked out at a point and had to pay a lot of money. So I found it as a way to like do drugs, like buy weed and buy drugs and buy booze and buy crazy stuff. And in college, it was just like free money for your blood. They had good Wi-Fi. They had movies on the screen. Sometimes they would watch bootleg movies, so it was a lit time being a plasma donor. I got to be honest.
I mean, it's a smart business. Doesn't take that much out of you. Anything beats working, dude. Working, that's for fools.
I know, dude. I can't take direction enough from people. It's very difficult for me to have real jobs. Come here, Cran. My dog is barking. Oh my God, Game Changer Wrestling. I told y'all I'm doing all the press, y'all. EFFY's Big Gay Brunch, April 10th. Game Changer Wrestling.
Yeah,
Cran.
I don't know how I got him to agree to do it.
I'm here. It's Kit, man. Cran, come here.
So
let me see why my dog's barking. Cran, come here. The birds are not here to get you. Come here. Sorry, she's got to come back in here.
Oh, you're
come here.
Fine.
She's such a baby. Listen, baby, come here. Daddy's doing work right now with his buddies. We're talking about events.
Oh, it's adorable.
She had to come. It's blessed. It's blessed. Cran, she won't look at the camera because she thinks it's the devil's instrument, but she will sit with us. Donate to the SPCA in the arms of the angels.
If I should have let my cat, dude, if I had my cat, like, she will see that I'm talking to somebody else and immediately have to just insert her face, like, looking at me to block whatever it is. I love it, but that's why I have to keep her out. Like,
she really gets worked up by birds, which I imagine is a cat thing, too. This angel. Hold on. If I turn around, you can see her, but she doesn't like looking at the camera. Say hey. Will you say hey in your little cute bandana?
Hi. Look, she looks so plum tuckered out.
She is always. She's a very tired girl, but she wants to stay with Daddy. Her other daddies at the bar are playing pool with a mask on, but we're really excited for our Vax life.
Oh man. So the next question I got for you, some of these. What was it like, for that brief moment when you joined 440? And then, that initial, really what I want to know is like that initial heat. Like, how'd that feel like, man, you're a baby face and everybody loves you. But like when you all of a sudden you put the green and white on, man.
Yeah.
And then like everybody's just like devastated. And I was there and I was like looking around like, holy shit, that is awesome.
It felt intense. And I had my phone hooked up to charge and I was like, okay, well, I joined 440, so I literally can't go back to the merch table to grab my phone right now. So I couldn't even look at my phone while everything was happening. And people were like, oh shit, this is like going off the chain. It was like really, really trending for a second. And I knew that we like had them, but people had to know I wouldn't stick with them because like, look at the screen behind me right now. I live on green screens, bro. Like, I can't wear green. That's the number one thing I cannot wear is green. I can't own that color. Fuck St. Patrick's Day. Fuck all that shit. Green does not exist to me. So, boom. Y'all knew it was going to be a twist. I had to nut him. Now, there were some people controversially saying, why didn't you just punch Joey Janela one time in the face? Because you would have given him the championship. As a member of 440, if anyone touched Joey Janela, he would have gotten the belt. And to be honest, I literally forgot, y'all. I did not even realize that was the situation. I just wanted to kick Ricky Shane Page in the dick. And how often do you get to do that at like point blank range, right to the nads, and Hulk Hogan a shirt off and say "fuck Hulk Hogan"? Are you kidding me? I'm so glad the shirt ripped all the way. Someone stole it though. It was a motherfucking bitch move.
Oh man, dude, it's the absolute worst. Like I've tried to like Hogan a shirt that I didn't do the little cut with, like
Yeah.
at the wrong time. It's like that type of fabric, and brand new T-shirt, nothing, and you're just like, fuck. Like,
Luckily, I found a pair of scissors back there and could put a little notch in the top to make sure I could rip it. But like, I was also in the fucking zone too, so like, bring it on. Let's
oh
go.
yeah, like the adrenaline going through is just you're done. It doesn't matter.
And everybody just yelling at me the whole time I was in 440, calling me a bitch and everything. That was like, I was like fired up enough about that to be like,
Dude,
I gotta let all my energy
I
out.
love the heat. The heat is so great. Like I'm like nothing better. And then it's also even more satisfying. Like if I were to go in a ring, if it's me and you, and I'm this, and everybody hates me, like there's nothing funnier than me. Like if I were to trip over the rope, and fall on my face. Like they're in. It's the dream for them to see that, and then me just fucking what, But if you do it, it's a little bit worse.
It was fun. That was the most merch 440 has ever sold in their life. The most in their whole life. And so, like, thank you. Proud of y'all. But I fucked you up. Now, apparently, I'm going to have to, like, fight 440 again or something. I don't know. Atticus Kogar is so into making, like, what do they call, like, fan cams? The little music videos that he makes? They're like K-pop fan cams for his, like, emotions.
Yeah.
They're like goth live journal scrapbooks.
That's exactly it, and I think I like them. I watch.
Oh no,
them.
I mean like it's very cool.
Entertaining as shit.
But when you're the subject and he's getting all like deep emotional about like your life and stuff, it's like, okay, dog, like cut me up, but like girl, like emotionally, I don't need all of that. Like I can't handle everything. I did a seminar last week, Kip, and one of the lines was, "You ready for it? This is so stupid."
God.
Wrestling isn't your fucking therapist. We don't need to always hear about how emotionally turmoiled you are in every moment. It's not always what's going to get a crowd on your side to just be like, everything's so horrible. Everything's darkness and the flesh burns for the fire. It's like, yo, these people want to get a little lit. Like, you can be a believable human and not be like mired in the darkness.
Dude, I agree. There are definitely times where like I think we all kind of some of us do it. Like I'll subtweet, like I'll get really frustrated, with things and how they go, and not to get any detail, but I'll subtweet about it, and then like I'll wake up the next day and I'll look at it and I go, you bitch, like just delete that shit. You're ruining your fucking self. Like they don't want to see that.
Yeah, and what sucks is those tweets get more traction because they're simple and they're word tweets. And Twitter likes those because it keeps people in the feed. It keeps you scrolling. It's not a link to the outside. So they see you subtweeting and being a bitch, and they're like, this looks like the one everyone should see. Not your hard content, not your moves, not your fucking new gear. No. It's always like this one little bitchy thing you said. Let's push it everywhere.
Dude,
they want to push that.
It's like when I quit CZW because they treated me like shit.
Hell yeah.
That got like the most shit, and all it was like a paragraph, 2 paragraphs of me describing, just whatever. And then that got so much traction, but like I'll do a promo where I literally am buying stuff like to make me look like a Treehouse Lee or look like Paro, and then I'll go and do that, and then they'll be like 3 retweets.
It's crazy.
I spent a lot of money on that one. I might as well
algorithm
with a sponsor.
The algorithm's a son of a bitch, and I don't know how to beat her sometimes. And they're choosy. It fucks me, especially with Twitch stuff. Go get me some chicken. She's gonna go get me some chicken. Twitter hates Twitch links for sure. So that's like a battle every day because I'll tweet something stupid and get 100 likes, and then I'll tweet a Twitch link and it's like 3 likes, and it's like, why is no one seeing this? Well, because Twitter doesn't give a fuck about your Twitch links. They don't want people to see that.
They don't want you to leave Twitter. Like, they don't want to.
No.
Like, they don't, like, if I advertise you on Twitter and tag you in it, like, it doesn't matter if you retweet it or, like, 10 people do. Like, less people are going to see it. It says IG Live, and they're like, yeah, it's not Twitter Live. We have a live. Why aren't you using that? And you're
yeah. Yeah, yeah, they hate it. They hate that. They're competing brands and they're whores.
Yeah. Next fan question. I'll try to get through these real quick. There's only two more. Would you consider doing Big Gay Brunch as its own promotion? That was
Yeah, so I think the biggest lesson I've learned this year is that the second I can take my face and name off of it, do it. Like I don't, the clout is cool. It's great. I'm glad I could, provide enough of a platform to put all these people on and stuff. But I think the second I can like pull my face out of it, and that's sort of been like the wrestling is gay motive, which right now it's like, okay, we can do clothing drops and we're about to do rolling trays and we're about to do crazy stickers and we're doing all this stuff and we're able to donate a lot of money to charity. But as that money grows, it is like we're kind of looking at where this brand goes and what it means. And it's like, yo, put my money where my mouth is. There's nothing I hate more than booking. So if I was able to just, put up and host these shows that are wrestling is gay, that feature all these talents, that don't necessarily have to have an EFFY fucking smorgasbord, match thrown in there, so I feel like I got myself on the card because my face is on it. It's like, that's the motive towards the future, is like pulling myself off of it. Not that I'm going anywhere, but just more that like, if we can make it a more generalized spotlight, I think it's better towards the message of uplifting all these different talents that people may not know about instead of just throwing my face on everything. Although the advertisements with my big face on them do okay. You know what I mean? What up, Hot Dog Starks? I can see it. Yeah, so, we'll get there.
Yeah, it's a slow build, but I mean, obviously, the more you do, the more people want to see them. It's just like, GCW doing, instead of just one blood sport, they did like two, or they can do as many as they want.
Yeah,
they can make it a quarterly thing, and honestly, I mean, hypothetically, like it could branch off and it's its own entity.
Definitely. And I think there's definitely a breed of wrestlers coming in now that like are very influenced by that blood sport look and that style and that realism. And like it's to me, I tweeted something the other day that was like the most valid type of pro wrestling is the pro wrestling people watch, right? Like that's the measuring stick of like successful pro wrestling. And it's not to say that the merit or skill anywhere is not that, but if we can increase that viewership and bring more people into pro wrestling through that avenue, then like, fuck yeah, if that's inspiring you to come to pro wrestling and be a pro wrestler and that's your style, well, clearly there are people who are rallying behind it. I mean, even Paradigm Pro Wrestling has started doing more of those UWFI fights and stuff like that. It seems to be a place that the market's moving in, and it's like, I think it's a more precarious thing than what I do, and then maybe even than what you do, to ride that line between, what's real and what's a work and what's cool and what's not. And it's like that question though, it provides this big cliff of opportunity of like, wherever they take it, they're going to be able to answer that,
Yeah, it is. I definitely followed like GCW from when Brett started it to, where he sees that something's working and then he doubles down on it, and it's worked out for them really well. Not to blow smoke up his ass if he's listening, because he's not booking me anyway. But it's just that it's just that I see that I see how he's working, or like, at least I know it's always unpredictable, but there are times where you see that he sees it's a success, and then instead of maybe like how I would do it would be, I would ride the line, and that's not the right way to do it. Whereas like he is more of a risk taker with the brand than most promoters would be. And that's, but
he's ear to the ground though, and that's what I've always said is like, people always ask that question on podcasts, like, what's the difference with GCW? And it's like, we are adaptable and willing to change to what the fan base needs and like what the people react to and what the people in wrestling want. Like, it's no fucking secret. Look at NXT, look at WWE, look at AEW, look at Ring of Honor, look at all these places. They're pulling guys left and right that Brett puts on as soon as he puts them in there. Won't even give them a year anymore before they're just like snatching dudes off who are the hot new thing. They're really quick to move on it because he's doing a lot of the footwork for them. And there's no way around that when you run an independent company like that and the options are out there for people. That's always going to be the question. But if they are changing based on what we're doing and we're listening to the people, then are we not changing the whole business based on you know, what fans actually want, if they're willing to make those changes based on the wrestling we're putting out, because it's not the same shit that was put out years and years and years and years ago. They've got to stay on the cusp too, and like they have found a cool cusp. And there's a lot of shit out there right now. And you know, I mean, you know, Kit, there's a lot of lame ass fucking wrestling, and I'll never hate on a payday for somebody. Like, please go get your money, please go get your shit. But when speaking to adult consumers, and that's not the product everybody's going for, when speaking to adult consumers, there's a lot of hokey, dumb, unbelievable, stupid crap shit that's not good wrestling. And it's not, I mean, if it's not good wrestling, it's definitely not even good TV. And that's the level you've got to compete on now. And like, to be able to run these pay-per-views and run outside the lines of cable and run outside the lines of everybody and sort of do your own thing and see success with that, success to the point where the industry leaders watch you and follow you, it's crazy and it's cool. And it's like, it's the future of this shit, is listening to people.
Absolutely. Listening to people is the way to, that's the best way to describe it. And that's what GCW does. And any promotion that does listen, they're going to be a success over time. Like, you know, and it's just that those that are really stubborn and like, this is what our product is, this is what it's going to stay, then, you know, they're only going to make it so far, and that's it. And their longevity is the only thing that's going to keep them, like, you know, where they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next question is, what's your favorite place to travel to?
Oh, man, I'm really excited to go back to Chicago this weekend. I really like Chicago, but I realize I only like Chicago for about like 7 months of the year.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's a good travel to destination because I don't want to live there. I'm really excited to be vaccinated now because with borders open, there's going to be some cheap ass flights getting rocked up. And like, I want to go back and like chill in Europe for a minute and like kind of bumfuck around and go over there. I spent some time in Spain and that was super lit. I would like to go back. I think the Spanish wrestling scene is starting to build up. You know, it's like, it seems like there's a lot of places in that area that like, if you were like an American dude who went into it and you were like, I'm going to go make all this European money, like you're an idiot and you're wrong. But if you're willing to go in there as a guy who will teach and will learn from them and will try to understand their shows and help their shows get better and show them how to promote wrestling, then I think there is big opportunity in that area once things open up. Because like, even in the UK, which isn't like crazy Europe, it's like there's so much rebuilding that has to be done in those scenes. There's so much distrust amongst people who've been in those scenes. There's so many people who don't need to be a part of them anymore. And like, if we can kind of pull the old WWE trick of like getting across borders and showing the message of like, hey, this is how you've seen wrestling, and wrestling doesn't have to be this and it can be a lot of things. We can sort of expand our whole global network. Like I'm about longevity, Kit, man. I'm not going anywhere. I want to be able to create a system and create a network where like people aren't going to have to like go to these companies and bow to these cable masters and bow to, you know, what they desire, what they want for their advertisers,
right,
and still make a living, because there's a big market for real live entertainment. And most consumers are kind of fucking sick of everything. We're apathetic. We've been fucking sold to our whole lives. It's a commercial fucking wasteland. They just want to go experience wrestling, and they don't need all the LED boards, and they don't need all the dumb shit, and they don't need the arena and the $9 beers. They just want to go spend $20 and yell and go crazy and call you a piece of shit and get a little drunk and have the time of their life. And I don't give a fuck if they remember my name, as long as we're creating a space for the kind of wrestling we do to be done.
Yeah. When you said you spent time in Spain and the wrestling there, did you feel like there was like a pushback on, I don't know, like there was like a pushback on like the way that you work compared to the way that they work?
Brother, I wasn't working in Spain. I was drunk as a motherfucker traveling. But what I see from them, because most people, I think, maybe I've made up this opinion of myself, but I think if you ask a lot of people who didn't know me, who did not know EFFY, what EFFY thinks about wrestling, they think I thought it was a mockery or whatever. But I swear to God, even among signed talent, there is not many people who watch more wrestling than me. And I do it publicly. I watch a lot of fucking wrestling on my shows with my people constantly. And what I've seen in Spanish wrestling that I see in all of these other places that are, like Singapore has a big growing wrestling scene, and China's even getting a lot of wrestling. And even some of the northern and southern countries have really gotten into, figuring out what their version of wrestling looks like. And what you see is they come into wrestling with, okay, we've seen the WWE, but they blend all these other different things in. And it sort of reminds you that, like, there's no rules to what wrestling is. All it is, hey, man, there might be something more than you think going on here. There might be some secrets, but enjoy the fight and enjoy the show. There's a fearlessness to just like grabbing whatever bits of culture that they find to build into their wrestling that like shows us wrestling isn't done growing. It's not done figuring itself out. It's not a fixed thing. They've told you in America, here's what it is. But like, there's wrestling in Peru now, dude. There's Peruvian women who do lucha fucking moves in sundresses, fully dressed up and garnished. And that's their version of wrestling. And it's really popular there for them. It's about creating this sort of global wrestling circuit that is not any one thing, but it's all wrestling. You know what I mean? Maybe this is a big, giant, crazy concept, but I'm really excited.
No, well, think like when you bring out like in our area, like with how TV, like WWE, like this is how wrestling is done, blah, blah, blah. And the only person that could ever fucking change the way it is like Vince McMahon. And then the internet blows up, like social media and whatnot. And guess what? Every independent promotion that did weird shit that wasn't like what you would see the standard of TV, then it starts getting popular because guess what? It's fucking cool. It's cool too. It's a different way of looking at wrestling. It's not the same, the way like veterans would talk to us back in the day about like you're not allowed, you're not allowed to get any offense in for like the first 2 years of your career or whatever.
Oh, and that's
it's
just
that
crazy.
Type of shit. And those people ran it. And guess what? They got old and they lived too long. And that's why they fucking life passed them by. And if they didn't continue on, if they didn't get with the times, then they fade away. And that's what can happen to any promotion, no matter how big or small. I think of when I was 14 when I went to my first CZW show. That was my first independent show I've ever seen ever because I just didn't, know anything. And I was introduced, to like Gage and Nate Webb, and those guys are two different people, but they are nothing that I've ever seen in WWE. Like I thought Nick Gage was a real badass. Like little did I know, you never meet your heroes, and I found he's a bitch, and he's been one for years. But
no way, I'll never admit that on this video, kid. No
dude,
fucking way I'll ever say that.
I said it to him on Friday.
Oh my god!
I love Gage, and like I think of the way like he impacted me, and I just go, well, there's a whole other fucking world out there, and that's no different than the way me seeing it at 14 is the way that anybody else is seeing it now. Like if you go to Spain and you see wrestling, you go, I didn't see that before, and that blows my mind. And you've been wrestling since like for like what, like 8 years, something. Like
yeah.
So like we are constantly learning, and if you're not, then wrestling's gonna pass you by.
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, that's the thing is everybody's like, oh, what do you think about all these new wrestlers coming up? What do you think about all these wrestlers getting signed? Will the indies be done? Will these new people be good enough? And I'm like, yo, I'm so excited. Think about all the new matchups I get. Think about all the new wrestlers that get to step up to the position. Think about all the new fucking styles we're gonna get. Like, I love seeing new wrestlers come up. And like, there's a bigger thing here that we have to break these people's mindset on, which is look at who's running AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor. Look at who's running all these places. It's due to made money in wrestling, but didn't make enough to leave it. And now they're here deciding what's going to be over and what's not going to be over. And there's a laziness to American wrestling and probably to all wrestling where when they figure out something that works, they don't try to make something that works better or something that also works. They just keep doing the thing that works over and over. And to put it bluntly, we've got a lot of fucking mid-card guys in charge of stuff that are agents, that are producers, that are management, that are these things, that are deciding where the business is going. And I'm not seeing a growth in fans from them. I'm not seeing a growth in attendance at their shows. I'm not seeing a growth in interest on social media beyond what they already had. I'm seeing a lot of the same shit. And like, even when they talk about the ratings, oh man, NXT did 650,000, AEW did 700,000. They beat them by 50,000. It's like, dog, Raw used to do 9 million. Get out of my face.
Yeah.
These are baby ass numbers. wrestling is on the decline. Y'all are all fucking dweebs. All right. I wear pantyhose and pink leather, and I'm less of a dweeb than they will ever be, most of these guys. It's just there's not enough real cool people in wrestling that can follow the trends of culture without going, but that's not what wrestling is, and getting defensive about it and going, hey, you know, trying something new, seeing if something works, seeing these new experimental things and using them in a way that's true to wrestling is possible. They just go, oh, you know, fuck that new shit. We know how wrestling's done. We know how this goes. We know how this works.
Those are the same people that think wins and losses really matter. Like,
bro,
and you know,
check the cage match. I don't win,
dude. I don't know if I have a match that I ever enjoyed in which I won. Like, I don't enjoy winning because it's just not as fun. I'd rather bitch and have something to bitch about, you know, in a promo later than I would about, like, you know, winning sometimes. You know,
I don't think it hurts us,
those are the same people that, you know, that think that way are the ones that, you know, and to give some credit to the mid-card guys that some of them they have a great mindset for the business and they have a great mindset for other people, but they don't have one for themselves. And I don't think I have any credit or a leg to stand on when it comes to anything. Like, you know, for me, I constantly am thinking, like, what am I doing wrong? You know, what can I do better? Why can I think of a great concept for somebody that I just met and think of an idea by just looking at them, you know, and then I look at me and I just go, well, maybe I'll just grow my beard a little longer. Yeah, that'll do it. It's, you know, but it's like, but there are those people that have that mindset of, like, wins and losses matter, and they run the business, and they go, well, you know, they look at somebody, well, you know, who'd you ever beat? And you're just like, God, Jesus Christ, get the fuck out of here. And that's how they make a card.
Oh my God. Listen, none of that
I remember seeing the shows, like, where King Kong Bundy would be the main event in, like, 2006 on some shows.
Oh my God.
And then that's like 15 years old. I'm thinking, you know, the only thing I think about with King Kong Bundy is this ESPN commercial in '95. Like, and that's the only thing I can think of. Like, how that guy being the main doesn't take a bump and he has to win and then he's never coming back. Like,
yeah, he's not coming back ever again. He's the winner, though. He's a legend. It's $40. Yeah. Meet him after the show.
Right. Do you remember your first match?
Yes.
Right, tell me about it.
Okay, so I had started going into wrestling training because I got sober, but I also did it because my friend Jennings, who used to be a tour band manager and also did merchandising for, like, ballets and shit, like crazy merchandise dude. He was like, yeah, I started going to make some wrestling training and then fuck it, I'm going to be a wrestler. And he found this weird place in Georgia and he was like, they'll book us. They don't give a shit. And I've been training for, like, maybe 8 months at this point, and I'd sort of decided, like, I'm just gonna go fucking do this shit on my own. And I didn't go to a real school. I trained with White Trash Fred in a field in Live Oak, Florida every week. I drove an hour and a half there, hour and a half back. I did my shit out there, but it wasn't like a school where they were like, you're not gonna take offense, you're not gonna this. It was like, all right, I gotta figure this shit out. So I started putting my PR tactics to it, but before that even came, it was like, hey, you want to come dance? You want to come wrestle in a dance hall recital building? And I was like, fucking let's go. And we beat the dog shit out of each other. We were like, we got to beat the dog shit out of each other. I'm in, like, yellow biker shorts with a shaved head. He's just wearing, like, black pants. We did the finish twice because I thought I fucked it up, but I really didn't. It was an incredible contest. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. I think I can find it probably.
I need to have this. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, it's a work rate match, brother. I was going into bump. I was ready, but I was a big old boy. I look back, even pictures of me from 5 years ago, I've, like, disappeared. Not even, like, because I'm trying, but just because, like, my lifestyle as a wrestler now is so built in that I don't have that second life anymore where I'm, like, going to a desk job and, you know, going to the office party and doing all that. Like, it's gone. It's just
faded away. It's like that. Yeah. It's like curling, like in the Olympics. You just, like,
oh, dude, I did curling one time. That shit was so lit.
with the fucking sweeping.
Yeah.
Dude, I know what you mean. Like you slowly, the more I do wrestling, the more like my real life, like my friends from grade school and high school, they're still there, but like a lot of the little ones that you're only acquaintances with are gone. You don't even remember what their faces
You
look like.
can't explain yourself to other people.
And then you turn around and then you just see the fucking amount of characters. Like, dude, I'm from this like whitey area, like in the mainline Pennsylvania, and everybody's like doing the same thing. Like, let's go to Starbucks, then go to high school, and then whatever. And then you like those people faded away over time, and then like now you're 30, I'm 31, and then I turn around and I see the people that we're friends with, and then you got like Matt Justice giving you that like weird smile, and then there's Schlack, that and then you just look at them, and then you're just like, yeah, I relate a lot with these guys more than
these guys are more fun. I think I really had an awakening where like I was working 50 or 60 hours a week, 5 or 6 days a week, like constantly working. And then I would go home, I'd see my boyfriend, I would go to bed and go back to work, and then I'd go wrestle. And I was like, well, my two lives can't meet. And then I thought about it. I was like, one of those isn't even a life. One of those is just like corporate drone. And I was like, these are all actually my real friends. And I still keep up with some of my like old pals, but like,
of course. Yeah.
Accepting the fact that like they didn't just have to be my coworkers. I could actually be friends with these people and hang out. It wasn't like learning that they're not like against you, and some of them are still, because fuck them and they're immature, but like we're all kind of on the same team of weird fucking dudes who wrestle. We may as well hang out and be cool with each other, and that includes the girls as well. When I say dudes, dudes as a term of just like, dude,
But what I found is like, man, like anytime when we would we're in No Peace and we're all there in Orlando, like we now you're from Florida, right? But Tallahassee.
Yeah, I was. It was north
at the other fucking back.
Yeah, another quadrant.
I'm trying to move there because like I fucking loved it so much, and like I just think about like when I first went there, and this was like the moment where I was like, I kind of realized where everything was going, like mentally with like wrestling, and then there's real life and stuff like that. I don't want to get in it, but like we now, anytime we're all there, it's like we know exactly where we're gonna go. We know that Paro's gonna take us to Finn Henry's, and he's gonna because he knows the bartender, and like I know everything that's gonna happen before it does. And the only issue I ever have is when I get off the plane, and then whoever picks me up, and then we go to the bar the night before, because usually I try to get in the night before the show, is the next day, the day of the show is when everybody comes in, and I just have to be like, all right, I just have to make sure that I get up by like 4 in the afternoon. and that's like
that's the weirdest alarm to have.
Yeah,
is the afternoon alarms. Woo.
But like and I love those like weekends, like not just because it's fun to fight my friends, and I don't think I'll ever grow out of that, but it's the camaraderie that we all have now. Like we're all from different like walks of life, and like what I would think is like and I always use Schlack, but because like I think him and I, like anytime I talk to him, it's like dude, where have you been all my life? And then but like if I ever saw him somewhere, if I never did wrestling, I would just walk by him
with
and that would be it. But that's what's so cool about wrestling is the way that we all meet each other. We're all completely different from different states, cities, and stuff like that. Yeah. And we have that one common interest. And even if we think differently about it, we if you and I have a match and you call a match a certain way and I do it a certain way, we like meet in the middle and we create something, and that's chemistry. And then
dude,
all of a sudden it's
literally,
great.
I think some people think I'm creeping on them. I like listening to other people call matches. I just like to hear how they're called. I know we're breaking the kayfabe here, but like, I'll stand near people and be like, I'm just listening to y'all call it. Like, I just want to listen. And like, I found so much joy in that, because then when you watch the match, like there's little things you hear, and like, I can pay as much attention as I want, but to see things play out, to see the way they play out, it to me is like so much reward for that attention, that little bit of attention of seeing two random strangers, and it's like every type of person in the world, but then it's like we're all turned up to 11, so it's every type of version, just a little crazier, and like you meet everyone.
I also I like listening the way like other people call matches, and because at least anytime I have a debate about anything, or if I'm just listening to somebody talk, like even if I disagree with what they believe in or whatever, I want to ultimately be proven wrong, and I want my mind to change, like always, because I feel like it's almost like, all right, the first time I ever hear this fact in my head, I'm hearing from some old man at a bar, right? And then I take it as fact, and then I just spit it out to people until they prove me wrong. And then I go, and then they tell me why, and then I learn from that. And then you hear somebody else disagree with it, then they tell you why, and then you just kind of then form your opinion from it. And I think it's the same way, like, when we're calling a match, and like, this is how you do it, and no, it's not just how you do it. Everybody does it different because they think differently. Like some people like to call three things, and then and then they figure out when they're going to do it. Like I would call a beginning and then the end, and then I would fill it in with like the story that would make it make sense. And then I wrestled Joey, and when I wrestled Joey, like he was like, well, what do you like to do? This is what I like to do. And he didn't, and we didn't talk about when we were going to do it. And he's like, yeah, we'll figure it out when we want to do it. But now we know how.
I love it.
And I was like, I just learned something, like 7
and
years
Joey
in.
has wrestling brain where like he's inside of a match, but he's already above it, and he sort of like knows where to go with things. And he'll switch it up and go, you know what, this makes way more sense right now. And you go, yeah, I'm with it. And that's the beauty of wrestling is like, when it gets fucked, what do you do? And the beauty of figuring that question out over a long period of time has been so much fun, because it's always going to get fucked. It's going to get fucked.
And to go back to what you were saying in the beginning, man, with wrestling altogether, when it comes to that kind of a match, it all just goes back to listening. Because when we decide, we're listening to the fucking crowd. Like, as much as we're like, fucking mark their opinion or whatever, you're, like me with bloggers, but ultimately, like, man, when they boo, like, I'm gonna keep doing the heat and see if I can get a little louder. Like, but like, hey, I know we said this one thing, but kick out of it, and then, and it depends on who you're working with it, and then they also get it and they also hear it.
Yeah, man, it's fun when you find that rhythm, brother. When you're in the pocket, as they say, boy, what a feeling.
But there are no like right and wrong well, there are definitely some wrong answers, but they're by people that shouldn't be, it shouldn't be dictating anything.
Well, it's not right until it works. It's
exactly.
gotta work.
And what is it? There's no supposed to's in wrestling, or
oh my God, what a line!
Yeah.
I was supposed to. You didn't.
Yeah, well, it didn't happen that way. Right? So, what do you hate about wrestling the most?
Okay, so this is a big thing.
And don't say travel, like the travel.
No. I love travel, bro.
I'm talking like that, like, hey, let's fit 7 people in this like Mazda Miata, and you're just like, oh yeah, let's drive 8 hours. Like,
yeah, can I bring my merch too? No? Oh God. I think the thing I hate the most is our utter lack of self-awareness sometimes. And I talked earlier about people being dweebs, and I think we are dweebier than we think. And wrestling fans, hardcore wrestling fans, will tolerate a certain level of dweebiness. They tolerate it all the time because they accept wrestling. But and you've seen it probably hundreds of times, when someone comes out to a badass song and they think they look badass, but everyone knows they don't look badass, but they're not self-aware enough to see that everyone around them doesn't see them as badass, I wish it would go away. I wish someone would pull them to the side, and I may have to be that person going forward and say, hun, you're not a badass. You gotta stop. This isn't gonna work.
There's nothing worse than hearing somebody go, hun, and then you're like,
honey, breathe. Breathe for a second, but you don't need to do that again. It doesn't work. And there's so many people, and it's like, I sort of see it as like they've let this version of themselves out. They've sort of let this character out that is this, fighter. And I'm speaking counterintuitively by telling you to prove that in the fight, maybe. don't come out and immediately try to set the tone as the most badass in the world, or set the tone in your promos as the most badass in the world if you can't deliver on that. There's a lot of badass cats in pro wrestling. We've seen a lot of badass cats come and go in pro wrestling. If you're not one of those guys, then don't build yourself around it, because you're wasting time until you figure out what you actually are. Sometimes we ignore the most obvious things about ourselves because we go, okay, well, nobody's going to like that about me. I don't like that about me. When in reality, like, making the acknowledgement and moving forward is the best way to do it. And if you're not a badass, acknowledge you're not a badass and don't be a badass. You're more badass if you have a weapon, but walking out to Papa Roach, like, really blast into your spirit, it's not doing it for me, babe.
Dude, I remember Sozio, Nigo Sozio put it this way. He's like, you know, like, if wrestling was 100% real, he was like, Joker and Chris Dickinson would fucking win all the title belts, you know, and we wouldn't have a fucking
just
chance
smash
in the
people's
world,
face in.
you know, and so, like, the way he meant it was like me, for example. Like, you know, I'm a small dude or whatever, and, you know, in real life, I'm fucking stubborn. I am bitter, you know, like, about, like, the smallest of things, you know, and then I establish a character around it, you know, and then I put it up to 1,000, and that's what I do. So that's like where, you know, with, I mean, like, again, when I bring up Gage, it's like, yeah, visually nobody sees, like, that being more than, like, a 3-minute match, like 99% Gage, like 1% me, but they just don't realize that Gage in real life is just such a bitch. And then, like, that it really, in real life, it would be 90. No, I'm just kidding. But you know,
oh
like,
my
that,
God! You're going to get me
see,
killed out
but
here.
you know what
I
I mean? Like, that
I know
like,
what you mean.
But that's how the crowd sees me. And then you kind of, like, you know, and then I realize that that's what they see. So then it's my job, because why would Gage ever change? Like, it's my job to make them believe that I am some type of a threat. But if I don't see that that's how they see me, then that means that that most likely I'm looking at it as like, yeah, we're like 50-50. Like, fuck out of here with that. Like,
it's got to translate to the people, though. You know, they've got to understand what's going on in there, and they've got to know what's happening. And, like, that's the thing is, like, you know, dude, if you come out there and, you know, you've got penguin flappers instead of arms, but your gimmick is like you're a mechanic who's tired, dog, like, they're not going to be able to see you as the mechanic who's tired. They can't see the mechanic who's tired over the penguin wings if you don't address the penguin wings.
Right.
You got to address them.
It's exactly. And then again, it just goes right back to it as, you know, like, these dweebs, as you're putting it, they're not listening. Like, they're just not.
Yeah.
They just don't. They have tunnel vision. They have what they, in their head, created on, like, you know, WWF Warzone in '98. Like, that's what they created, and then that's what they visualize themselves as they haven't lifted up a weight to be that guy, but they dressed sort of the part, and then they just they're playing dress up. Like,
but
whereas,
it makes more sense to the audience because they're not idiots. And, like, I think with wrestling, like you said, it's okay. Well, if you can predict every move, then that's not fun. But there's an air of mystery to wrestling, because even if you look at the obvious graphic and go, well, I know how that's going to go, you don't. And you go into the situation going, literally anything could happen here. This could go many different ways because it's pro wrestling. And we can acknowledge that and play that up with people. But Kit Osborne is going to do a better job of telling the story of him beating a 300-pound guy like Pero if Kit Osborne fights like a self-aware Kit Osborne, which is, I'm a smaller guy here. I fucking hate this shit. This sucks. I got to beat the shit out of this dude in a way that's fucked up and kind of scheming and with weapons, and take my moments. And when I get up on him, you're going to hear from me, bitch, because you didn't think I could do it. And that tells your story so much, like, more effectively than if you went up to Pero and you were like, well, I'm a ninja. I've never fallen down. I can beat you with one finger punch is my finish, and they're all going to love it. And it's like, you would walk out and they'd be like, what's going on? And Pero would fall to your finger punch, and you'd be like, you'd be standing there. Everyone would be standing there going, no one knows what's happening. But if you were that dedicated to it and no one could talk you out of it, it's like, and you had power at a company, I couldn't stop you from booking yourself as the one finger magic man who really thinks he's a badass ninja who's never fallen down.
There's so many things in wrestling that add up that can make a match like that, like that you just like if you describe me as like, yeah, I'm this ninja that doesn't fall down, even though like Paro is literally like, you know, he's fucking almost like 6'5", whatever,
Yeah,
something
he's a
like that.
giant.
And he's like a foot taller than I am, you know, shoot. And you know, the only thing that in real life I ever do is like, man, I can make him laugh and I can poke at him, you know, and he loves it, you know, and like, yeah, we're all just having a good time. But he also
And he loves
realizes
it.
he also realizes that in real life I know that he could smush me in like one fucking hit. And he's agile enough that I ain't moving past him. Like, but if I have, you know, if him and I have a match and he's desperate for money, guess what? And I have a little bit more clout, then he's gonna lose the match and it's gonna suck, you know. But what I'm saying is there's so many different aspects in wrestling that make people falter that they don't realize. Like there's you know, somebody who
People
owns
get
the
excited
company.
on an idea.
You know,
I'll tell you what, they get certainly excited on an idea.
what?
And they don't like no.
Oh no. So like I think one of the first things I ever learned in wrestling was well, one, you know, is shut the fuck up and listen. But the other one was
I haven't learned that one
like
yet.
when we call a match, like and you have this thing that you're calling, we're negotiating like a business deal. Like this is no different than we have a contract and we both have to meet what we want. And you give me this contract and go, yeah, but like, nah, fuck that. Then guess what? Like you're gonna be like, well, you know, fuck the deal. You know, I'm just gonna go out there and I'll just do what I want. And then
Yeah, but it's a shitty deal. I don't win in this deal.
Whereas, like, if we negotiate, then both of us at the end of the day are really happy with it. We're motivated, you know. And I go, yeah, I like that idea. You know, however, like, did you think of I do this thing? Do you think maybe we can incorporate into that? And then you're just like, yeah, holy shit, I didn't even think of that. And then we get what you want, I get what I want, and then we meet in the middle. And then all of a sudden we go out there, and then then we go out there and I forget all the moves. But I mean. But you know, but on paper it sounds great. Like
the thing is, and I don't condone unprofessional behavior, but also that contract is not set in stone, darling, and we can make decisions on the fly in the middle of this business deal. If you've got a deal you want to lay on the table in the middle of this, if you don't need to hit the flying nothing into nowhere, then honey, we can negotiate this deal live, baby.
The flying nothing into nowhere.
You've seen it before, haven't you? Yes. It's a great move.
It's like, I have to do this thing. And you're like, well, all right. Well, like, does it matter?
Yeah, I go, oh, yeah, you can do 20 minutes into the match. You want to do that thing? We'll go for it. I'll ask you about it about 12 in, and we'll see where you're at.
Yeah. Like, dude,
maybe don't do the thing.
I never put too many eggs in one basket, man. Like, I'm telling you, like, you know, I would never tell it to his face. I mean, if he's listening right now, then he's hearing it. But I would never tell him to give him the compliment. But like when I wrestled Joey, and then he went with that, like when he just described calling something like that, I was like blown the fuck away by it, and I was like, why am I so dumb? and then why don't I call matches like that? So then I don't have to think as hard.
Well, you got to have a lot of trust in yourself and the other person though to do that. And know that they're at least competent enough to understand what's going on and not, because I also see a lot of people in matches still where you can tell they really planned something. You can tell someone didn't fully understand what was being said to them.
Yep.
And now there's a schmoozy doozy. And to be able to kind of roll on the fly like that, there has to be a sort of understanding and a sort of communication that like works for everyone to make sure you're getting there, you know?
The only thing that could ever screw it up is if you don't know how to talk. Like, you know, I have long hair for a fucking reason. Like it's so that I could fucking do that and say what I want, so that you could be like, I didn't hear you, and then I tell you.
Dude, I did a match the other day, and this dude fucking whispered. I will not say who it was, and I was like, that is the quietest talk I've ever heard in my whole life. It was like, well, I'm a professional, and I was like, well, you were too professional. I'm deaf. Just say it. They don't know what you're saying. Just smack me and call me a bitch and then say suplex. I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I just don't want the awkwardness. Like, there's no reason I think at our level anymore, even if we work with somebody young, newer, that there should ever be that, and the thing is, like, I did it like a couple weeks ago, or whatever, and I almost did that waiting for, he didn't know what he called his own thing, and then I go, all right, hey, let's do that one thing. He's like, yeah. And then I go like this, and I know that his face isn't going down the ducket, and I almost went up and around his head, and I was like, don't do that. Don't fucking do that. You've been in here too long. You're going to lose shit. And then I just fucking, hit him. And
sometimes they get yappered in the nose, dude.
It's like, dude, hey, when I throw a line, it's like, you got to duck. Like, you have to duck. And if you don't duck, then you're going to hit that top of the head, and it's going to hurt my arm. And then I'm going to freak out.
Then I'm going to stomp you. In a polite manner, but in a firm,
right? Yeah, it's to say, like, hey, man, get your shit together. I'm giving you heat so you can think. Oh, you're fine. But that's just, it's just the, that way of calling wrestling. And then, oh yeah, and I wanted to compliment you. Like, one of the things I always liked, like, anytime I watch any of your matches, I really noticed it when I would watch you with Cass, and it's when there's, like, it's not necessarily downtime, but let's just say you have the upper edge on him. It's like you, like when you look at after you hit him with something, and then you go to that crowd, and like, it's you in the crowd. It's never you in the crowd, and then me also realizing, in the back of his head, he's worried about, what he's got to do next, and I've always, like, just enjoyed anybody that would be like that. Like, yeah, like there's
yeah,
and I envy it, because, like, I sometimes worry, and maybe it's just like this weird thing with, like, when growing up and just being like a smaller dude, and I just think, well, how long can he sell for, for me, and I'm just like, dude, it's not fucking real, like, and then I that's the thought. But, like, with you, yeah. I see you so engaged in that crowd, and then you can go back whatever amount of time, and then you pick them up, and then you continue the heat. I just fucking love it.
It's Southern shit, though, Kat, because it's the three rules are this, all right? And it took me a while to figure out rule number one. Rule number one is, he's going to sell for you, and if he don't, make him. And that's a great rule, which is, like you said, you're going, well, is this big guy going to stay down? And if he doesn't, well, you just stay right back on top of him, and you go, stay the fuck down. Two is, nobody's chasing you. And that, to me, is sort of the we're going to get there. It's like, listen, I know we have times. I know we need to stick to our times. We have plotted our match to make sure we're within that parameter.
Right.
We've fully gone down that direction. What now is going to chase me towards the end here? Well, the ref talking to me is going to chase me. The people are going to chase me. Me thinking about the other matches are going to chase me. Turn that shit off. Nobody's chasing me. The last one is the best one of all, though, which is sell to Jesus. All right? If I kick your ass and you fall down, don't look down into the ground. Sell up to Jesus. He needs to see you suffer just like the people. Look up at Jesus and suffer for a second. Suffer towards Jesus, STJ. And that's, like, my mentality is, and especially, like, I had to learn on my feet, because you get into some of these other promotions and other places where the work rate is different. You've really got to go. You've really got to remember people's shit. You want to make sure their stuff is good. There's a lot more complication. And finding those moments where I know I am in control, and I know I am in my pace, and I know I'm in my place, it's like, you have to have that ease of tension for it to be believable with the people, for them to understand that, like, I'm here too in front of you live. It's happening too. I'm not on a railway. I can do whatever I want right now. I don't have to even go do the next thing. We're here. And wrestling's that last form of that improvisational, you have no clue what's going to happen. Cirque du Soleil is not improv. Even going to see Jerry Seinfeld, it's not improv. There's improv theaters, but it's all, well, I'm a little elephant. Well, I'll have to take you to the market. This is absurd. For real physical in your face, like, who knows what's going to happen? There's nothing else like it, and to know we're working together and still create those moments of tension. MMA can't do it. Cirque du Soleil can't do it. The movies can't do it. It's a whole nother world, and we've got to treat it with this sacred thing, but also, like, fucking throw it out the window and make it whatever we want. I'll take all the old school shit I want, and then I'll let you eat whipped cream out of my ass. I don't give a fuck. It's all the same to me as long as the audience is entertained and we're giving them what they need, and they leave the building and go, man, that was worth my money. We'd come back to that. And don't go, oh, well, it was a little more expensive than I wanted, and I had to sit through 3 hours of shit to see the one person I wanted. Like, let's give them all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I can say that I definitely learned from that. Because when you just said, you're like, you know, they're not chasing you. Like that one, I think it stuck for me. Yeah, I mean, sell it to Jesus Christ.
It's incredible. It's the best advice.
But,
I don't remember who told me either, but it's like, it's genius advice.
But that, you know, like they're not chasing you is like what almost, it's like you almost need that person, like as you're looking at the crowd, like it's almost like the ref, and he just goes, hey man, don't worry. He ain't getting up. And you're like, all right.
Yeah,
and
he's going to stay down.
Is, you know, but that was, I mean, that was the one thing that I always saw that I would see you do. And like, that was I mean, you always connected with the crowd throughout the entire match. Like, every time you sold, like Drew Gulak training me. And I remember like I'd be in like in a headlock, and, you know, you always have like your head up, like, you know, you don't look down. You want everybody, you want the fucking upper deck to see you, all that shit. But when you have that headlock in and you have your eyes closed, you're like, and he would be like, God, look, it's Joe Pesci over here. And you're just like, fuck. like, and that's like, and every time I sell, I'm just like, like, you know, looking up. But like before, I mean, I remember when he said it, and then I would be like when he made fun of me, you know, I just like, never doing that again. And then I've used it so many times, like anytime like I'd be at like, you know, any training or anything. But that one and that, man, like that one's sticking because, dude, there's always that anxiety. Like it depends on who you're working with, but it shouldn't depend on that. It should always be that no matter who the fuck you're working, whether it's, you know, some greenie or you're wrestling Masada, if you're giving him the heat and you're giving him time to breathe, you have all the time in the world to work with the crowd. And then when you turn around and pick him up, he's waiting there for you for whatever direction, or you to give him, you know, the Iggy, or if he's pissed off and drunk. I don't know. I don't have any idea.
Yeah,
but
I think even for baby faces too, like baby faces are big rushers because they want to get to their stuff. They want to get to the next thing. They want to get to the thing that's going to send the crowd up, instead of saying like, hey man, if you took one breath here and made one big pullback for this shot before you did it, instead of just throwing it real quick at this guy, the whole world can take that second to see it. They write the news at a fourth grade level, kid, and it's not because we're all stupid. It's just because it's more palatable for us to not have to think through the complication. And if you're going to hit a dude in the face, or if you're going to hit your big move, dog, like, give us the 1 second. He's not going to wreck you. He knows it's coming. He knows what's going to happen. Give it the second, register, and then go for the big moment. Baby faces can take that time. When baby faces are in control, it's not, oh, you better get it in quick, because baby faces aren't in control very long right now. It's baby faces are in control for a short amount of time, but they're fully in control. Take that moment. I'm going to do it all for you. When it comes time, I'm going to lay you down again. We'll go back to sleep. We'll wake up when it's over.
Yeah. One of my favorite things training was I forget what it's called, but basically, like, you wouldn't know who you're working. You would get a number on your arm, you know, and whoever had the biggest number, when they would pick a name out of the hat, like, that guy's going over, you know, and like, you from there in front of whoever's, you know, there, you guys are just calling a match. So basically you're working with your character, and it's forcing you to have a character, because, you know, if we don't know each other, then how the fuck?
Yeah, I don't need you dropping me on my head immediately.
Yeah, like, absolutely. You know, and if you did, then I know either one, you're a lot stronger than me, and I'm gonna have to listen, or like I'm gonna you know, and then I'm gonna have to work around it, and I'm gonna have to. But ultimately, it forces you to have to talk. It forces you to have to, like, take time,
adapt.
And adapt, exactly. So I always loved those, because those always woke, you know, somebody new up. It stressed them out.
A lot of times that's the matches I have now, kid. I write 100 on my hand so nobody has a bigger number, and I show up and I go, baby, you know the finish, and then I meet him out there. I'd say
That's
that's
fun.
95% of my matches.
I
You know
wish
the finish.
I wish that, like, if this, when like I said, when I'm green and they're doing this shit, I'm like, oh fuck, two, and then who am I wrestling? And then it's so and so, and he's like 250, and you're like, wow, I'm definitely not. That's not more. But like, man, if I had that pen, I could have just wrote like 251. Let's see what he
Oh,
does,
yeah.
like.
See what happens. He's got to go under, brother.
But
You saw the
obviously,
card.
that's why everything we just said is bullshit. Because, man, what I'm trying to get across here is wins and losses matter.
Listen, I think, though, also, like, I really do watch a lot of the shows I'm on. I try to pay attention to what's happening in the matches. I try to listen to what people are calling and figure it out. Because, like, I definitely I'm benefited by juxtaposition, and all of wrestling is benefited by juxtaposition because the whole show needs to be good, but it all needs to be a little different. I don't need the same match over and over. I don't need the same thing over and over. And to be able to see what others have done and see what people are going to do after me and kind of figure out what my role is for the night, whether that's me just having to tell myself or the promoter telling me what's going on, I've got to find that lane that I'm in to go at full speed. And you've got to really pay attention to work at that sort of pace because I'm constantly thinking on the fly. I'll tell you, we're cutting half the match, 10 minutes before we go out. If I've seen the last match before us do a bunch of the shit we were going to do, which like doesn't happen all the time. But like I had a situation the other day where I wanted to do this really obscure move. I've only seen one person do it. I'm not going to tell you what it was. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you the story later. And he was like, cool, let's do it. We did the move. It's a little dangerous, a little obscure. Cool, we did it. We went to the back, and the next match after us was about to go out. And I was like, oh, bro, that move we did, it really worked. It hit, and that was perfect. It gave me the time to sell. Like, it was so sick. And they go, did y'all do that? And I was like, yeah, isn't that weird? It's a weird, obscure move. And they're like, we were about to go do that. And I was like, well, don't go do that. And so they flipped it right there. But it's like the coincidences are going to happen. You're going to call the same shit as someone else, no matter how wild or obscure you think it is. Like, check with people, find out what other people are doing, see what the angle is. Like, there's no shame in having the talent meeting and going over finishes, but like, that's not the end of the work line if you're going to try to fit in that lane and try to be something different that the rest of the show hasn't been so far, to make sure everybody gets all of it.
Right. It goes back to, like, that is exactly why. Like, I like listening to what other people are doing, Like, at Dojo Wars, Drew and Gulak and Preacher would say, all right, what major moves you guys doing? And he would write on like this whiteboard or a piece of paper or whatever. And he goes, nobody can do that. Like, like every match, like what major moves, like, are each one of you going to do? And you're just like, and then, and that the point of it was supposed to teach you that, hey, listen, if this person is doing an elbow drop off the top, and it's a falsie, then don't do it. Like, don't do it. Like, as a finish, you're gonna make him look like shit, or whatever. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. It's just that it teaches you to listen. Like, the point is that so that going forward, you go, well, what are other people doing in their matches? Because I have a feeling that this move that you do is something that like other people do, and then you start to learn like people's move sets. Like, somebody like in one show, like I like doing this. I love doing a lariat, but guess what? I'm too small to do one. However, what if I did it to the back of your head? Like I did it to your back, and I did it after a certain thing. Then guess what, man? It kind of, I can do that, and then it's cool.
Yeah, you've shifted what the contact is. I mean, there's only so many ways you can make contact with another human being, but there are ways where you can adjust that in wrestling to make it your own. Like, the best moves you look up on Wikipedia are like standard move with flair. Like, it'll have a name and then it's like standard move with flair. Like, you're adding your spin to what this thing is, and like, if your spin is good enough, then nobody else on the show needs to do it. But if you can spin something someone's doing, it's like, I mean, like, I'm in SGC with AJ Gray. I think AJ Gray has the best lariat in the world. Am I not going to throw a lariat? No. But am I going to go into the match thinking I'm going to throw as effective lariat as AJ Gray? No, I'm not. My lariat is not going to be a finisher the way AJ
Right.
Graves is, but I'm going to throw it as hard as I can, and I'm going to let the commentator say, hey, he's showing homage to his SGC brother who finishes those matches that way and creating a story there. But like, let everybody know when you're working like that, because I've had a lot of people try to work with me
That's a really
and they
detailed.
don't fill you in. All you got to do is tell me what's going on. If I don't know what's going on,
That's
girl.
it, dude. It's almost as important as like, you know, some people when they don't realize the importance of when you're talking to like somebody who's commentating, like, and then they bitch later because they didn't get something over. So, and I can be honest, like I am 100% a late bloomer. I feel like I've learned more in the last 5 years than I ever learned ever, besides basics and whatnot, because I definitely had a stubborn mind, like wanted to be a certain character and was told certain things, and then and you have to wait, and then you learned, and then like now I'm like, man, I really wish I could meet my fucking 18-year-old self so that I could yell at him and say, hey, fuck what he said, but
Yeah.
but it's whatever. It's just that when what the fuck were we just saying? So
I'll take you here and say this. I think when I look at you, you said you've learned so much in the last 5 years, but also think of how much wrestling has changed in the last 5 years. If you're not on the cusp and willing to learn, you kind of get left to the side. And we've seen a lot of guys left to the side who can't adapt, and they can't get with the new narrative of things, and they can't shift with wrestling, and they don't have any success, and they don't have any bookings, and they're mad at everybody, instead of going, hey, financially, culturally, wrestling is shifting a little bit in the way it's promoted, and the way the shows are created, and the way the styles. If you're not willing to make those adaptations, then yeah, like I hope we've learned a lot, because wrestling 5 years ago and wrestling now, like it's a whole different bird.
Exactly. I mean, it's exactly what you said. Like even culturally, is changed immensely. It's fucking weird to think that 2016 was 5 years ago. Like
Mm-hmm.
and when I'm saying like 5 years ago, like I feel like I just started to figure out how to again listen, and listen to the right people, not be stubborn for like the years before, where like I trained, took time off for like real life and school and stuff like that, like because like you have to pick and choose, like have to have a safety net, whatever, at the time. And then you go into now, and then you go, all right, you can't just think a certain way. You have to evolve as time goes on. Like you can't say the same things that people used to say, and you have to not just not say it, but you have to understand why. And if you don't agree with it, then you have to do your own like self searching.
But we've done a better job financially policing that too, where our consumer base is very loud about what and who can bring us entertainment, because there are a lot of people that we have decided whether they want to continue participating or not, we're not going to support it, or in the most part allow it in a lot of cases. And that's really cool to see of the fan base, because these old school guys that say don't listen to the fans get to decide who wrestles because they pay for the tickets and watch the shows.
It's just
this is going to be the shift.
It's the way that you choose to acknowledge it is what changes it. Like yeah, I know what you mean by don't listen to them. However, there's a reason why Hogan was so fucking over, and that he didn't do shit, and you're gonna bitch and complain about him, but I don't think he gives a shit, and that's why there are people that are bitter. And those bitter people are the ones that are that don't listen, and they're the ones that will be like, like you always have, I think in some of the like not as more of like not a shindy, but like the ones that I have like every once in a while, like that one person, that one dude that's be like, dude, that was gay, and you're like, dude, it's like 2020, don't say that, or 2021, like you don't say that. You're
I eat them alive.
Well, I mean, I don't see the problem, and you're just like, oh God, this is it. This is the guy. I found him, he just is yet.
I know, but like I wish they would sometimes, because girl, I am as sharp as a knife. I think that straight people aren't good at acting. That's just a belief I have.
Well, fuck
Uh,
you, first of all.
because gay people have had to act in public for their lives to like live and exist. So I think there's a little bit of an advantage there. And when I think about like these cats that want to get catty and want to start stuff and want to say hateful things, they don't understand sometimes the battle of language and wit that they're about to enter. And, you know, everybody can choose violence. I wouldn't choose violence against me. But if you choose to say something ignorant, girl, I'm going to eat you alive. I'm going to eat you alive.
But you know what's so great about what I think is so great about now is that I look, I mean, I understand like there have been people that have been canceled for things that they've said, you know, in the back. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, yeah, dude, I'm 31, so in high school, yeah, things I would say things are gay. Like, you know, like duh. Yeah, and I would love to bet anybody that would be like, I never said that. Like, dude, like it was normal and it didn't mean a hurtful thing at the time.
I say it all the time, but very positively.
What?
I said I say it all the time, but very positively.
But yeah, it's
so gay.
But like, I mean, hey, listen, if something is, I mean, like that's more of a fact. That's not more of a like, yeah, I didn't like it, you know. But you know, but as time went on, you know, like you learn to listen to like what the word is and whatnot, and you're just like, well, you know, you don't say it because of X, Y, and Z, and it means a completely different thing. And then there are those people who just go, yeah, but I mean it this way. And you're like, yeah, but like, are you not thinking about other people? You know, like, do you just always just think about
they're not.
You know?
No, that's the problem in America. We're all the protagonists of the story. Everybody is in their story. They are the protagonists. Everybody is the main character. And so what we figured out is like, since everyone's the main character, nobody's the participating character. So nobody's listening to anybody, and everybody's in their own ego world where they're living in their little video game. They're going forward. And so then they figure out, since no one's listening, the only way to get heard is to be derogatory because it gets attention of people, right, and they can hear that. So they're just doing it to continue getting attention in their little protagonist story. And it's like, even if they don't mean it, we have to call out, you know, like the
but it's so
lack
it's
of self-awareness.
It's a cheap heat. Like, as in, like, I'm a bad guy all the time. I mean, I'm a bad guy in real life. I mean, every time we hang out at a bar, I am the biggest piece of shit, you know, all the time. However, I am clever with how much of a piece of shit I am. And it goes beyond, like, if you and I have a thing, and or if I'm in a feud with somebody who's overweight or something. It's like, dude, like I can't, you don't do that. Like, it's just like, hey, listen, it's wrong because in real life, I know that it's wrong. But even if like if you look at your character, like my character is 1,000 times who I am. Me, like, you know, me normal wouldn't say that, like, ever. Like, it wouldn't even like grace the thing. I find something else about you, you know, like.
Well, and I mean, like,
I could think of it, but I don't want to bring it up because like I feel like I'm gonna cut a promo about it one day, you know, and like I 100% want to buy your stupid little spiked pink jacket, and like not because it's cool, just cool, but because I want to wear it to make fun of you in it, and then I want to outdo it, you know, and like I could think of like, oh man. And if I do this, I want you to be like, oh, hey, look at him. He's Dolph Ziggler, you know, like that. And then it's just like, I'm thinking constantly of like, what can I do that can then later be thrown against me? But, you know, if you bring up like somebody's real life and what they do, like, and something that like obviously is not something to touch on, like in general, not just you, fuck you, but, you know, in general, you know, you like, that's just cheap, and it's not fun.
And like,
it's not
I
fun,
don't think your heat always has to come from putting down the other person either. Like, I think you can get your own heat and your opponent can still be fine, and it doesn't always have to be about the other person in the ring to still make you a piece of shit and still make it effective as a storytelling device.
The same thing I joked about with Gage. you know, like, you know, he's a bitch and he's been one for years, and I'm going to tell you why mathematically, you know, like that can be used against anybody, you know, and really all it does, and I like how I'm just like giving away the only arsenal I have, is that is that then they validate who you are, and then they compare you versus me, rather than me tell them what to think about. I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying, yeah, you know, Effy's a bitch, and you know what, he's been one for years. And if you really want me to tell you why, I'll tell you why mathematically. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to bore you. Blah blah blah, and then I cut the promo, and that's why, you know, an October or whatever, and then it gives the viewers a chance to then analyze who you are and why they like you, and then why they fucking hate me, you know, and that's it. And I didn't even say anything, you know, like.
I think you should pee on somebody for heat.
I really should, you know.
I heard it works. I got to go pick up my boyfriend soon, kid.
Yeah,
we got to do a part 2
you know what?
on
Wait,
this.
listen. It is 11:35. I can't thank you enough for being on here. I feel like
I had a blast.
Fuck the questions.
How was that mall
like,
bag?
I love that this has been more of like a psychology episode that I've had. You know, it really gives. I think it gives people more of an in and an understanding the way that we think. And it's important. And I didn't know this about you because, like, you know, most of the time we do not talk about a lot of this. So I'm actually happy to have done it.
And why would we? We've been around it all day. We want to talk about anything else.
Yeah, we want to talk about, like, you know, why Cass is, like, over there, like, unable to open both of his eyes. But, like, he
asked for it.
But I want to always leave with, like, one question. And I want to ask you is, actually, you know, I'm asking you two, and you got to wait, and your boyfriend's going to have to wait. The first one is, what do you want to be remembered for?
Setting the architecture for making it easier to make money without corporate greed pigs taking most of it. I hope when I walk away that it's very easy for people to make independent money, and that we're open about the information. We share it. There weren't people sharing it with me when I started making money in wrestling. There weren't people telling me how to operate, telling me how things work, telling me how stuff works, building a system that helps us make money without having to go to someone else for their money and their clout. I hope we get to that point. And so, like, as much as I have fun being a performer and an entertainer, like, being EFFY is the most fun shit. We've got to think bigger than that too, and, like, get to that next level. We're gonna get there. I hope that's what I'm remembered for. We'll see, though.
I mean, you know, if this was one of those seminar things, like, I'd be like, hey, can you help me? So
yeah, listen, go for it.
Then the last one I got for you is who's, and you can name a few, but who's your bucket list match that, like, it can happen, it's feasible, but like the one that you fucking want more than ever, you know, and if they were to ever listen to this, because, you know, you see these fucks like Murder, Death, Kill, you know, and all those dudes, they will watch this, and they will literally send it to them a million times till they see it. What is the match that you would want? Who do you want it with? And tell me why.
Oh, man, this is such a weird question.
Well, you should have watched my fucking show then.
Because half of me wants to say the cattiest shit of all time, and half of me wants to be a little genuine here.
Why don't you just be a fan for once, you know? Mr. I want to control the business.
Honestly, it would be The Miz, I think. I think I could finally get him over. And that's not me being catty. I think people misunderstand The Miz pretty heavily. And that's fine. And it's because WWE's narrative is very limited in scope. But I think we could do some real gangbusters when he's ready to leave the Fed. Because I've said it before, EFFY's not coming on your TV show. Not anytime soon or for any reason. But if you want to come on the outside and you want to go against the COVID cowboy, I got plenty of room and space. I'll put you in a luchador mask, pal.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that you don't want to go on something like that? Like, there's no amount of money. There's no amount of money for that 1 year deal that you wouldn't be like, nah, not worth it. I'd rather fucking I'd rather have my green screen. Like,
honestly, listen, man, I understand. I'm limiting my scope to the normal viewer, right? To the regular person, but we're at a real cataclysm in the next year or two, truly, where I think a lot of monoliths that people thought would never fall into the ocean will be underwater. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the long-term play goes. I've got my, chips on the table. They've got their chips on the table, and the wheel's spinning, and everybody thinks they know where it's landing. And I stand by that. I don't ever see myself as Effie in any capacity benefiting from helping their shows out. I won't do it. And our introduction to the mainstream audiences is not going to come through antiquated methods like cable. It just won't happen. I mean, nobody gets access TV, folks. It's just the facts. We're going to get there. And I'm staying on the outskirts, and I'm putting it all on black, baby.
That's awesome, man. First of all, like, I can't believe how long we talked. I really, at one point I was watching the clock and I was like, fuck, man, what the fuck is he going to say? But I love talking to you, and it was actually really awesome to get to know you, like, even more.
We're
now,
real people, bro.
Huh?
We're real people.
Dude, I know. I mean, sometimes,
sometimes.
Dude, like, when I put on cowboy boots, don't even fuck with me. But
same bitch.
But man, it's actually awesome to get to know you. Obviously, it means that things are going to be different when we hang out.
I know we're gonna have to kiss on the mouth after these vaccines.
God,
How was that Malbec?
Well, I mean, I'm always down, but I appreciate you being on my show, man, and I thank you for it.
Wine?
Thanks for. Oh, dude, actually, the wine was awesome. I'm not gonna lie, I am down with Tall Dark Stranger. So, if anybody wants to just tag them in it so that they send me shit,
we need the sponsorship
everybody
model.
will be every single guest will be a Tall Dark Stranger if they send me enough wine. All right.
I love it.
Thank you, man, for having me.
Thank you, bro. Y'all be safe, and thanks for raising money for the SPCA.
See you, brother.